You are listening to the So Now What podcast with your host, Lana Manikowski, episode number 3. Welcome back, everybody. I'm so glad to have you here with me again this week, where we're going to talk a little bit more about beliefs. So, last week, we talked about being aware of our beliefs, really questioning ourselves about the things we believe. And I left you with 2 questions. And I hope you took some time to really put some thought into them and ask yourself, number 1, what do you believe about yourself? And the second question, what do you believe about your future? And as we discussed last week, your beliefs create your future. So the beliefs that you have now are going to be what create the future and what create the results you're going to see in your future. But when we challenge ourselves to identify our beliefs around our journeys, we start to decide where these beliefs are taking us. We decide if we want to continue our journey with this belief or these beliefs. We create new beliefs that will write the stories of our future so that we can live the purposeful and meaningful lives that we're all destined to live. And last week we talked a little bit about paper thinking, which is also what I call journaling. And paper thinking is a way that I am able to get all of my thoughts and beliefs and feelings and all my daily stuff that goes on, get it out on paper. And if you took into account the 2 questions from last week, I'm sure that you had an opportunity to identify a few beliefs that you would like to chew on and really tease out and start to do your work, I would say only on one belief at a time. And for me, I find that if I focus on one at a time, I'm really able to hone in on the structure of that belief. And if you get yourself in the habit of just doing one thing at a time when it comes to your thought work, you'll see that you're really able to get your arms around things and really modify your behaviors, your thoughts, and your beliefs. You do things one at a time. So when I was first starting this process, I uncovered a major belief that I was a failure because I failed fertility treatments. And from there, I chose to analyze my belief and why I was choosing to believe this. So I started asking myself some pretty pointed questions. Is this really true? Am I a failure? Or is this true anymore? How does this belief make me feel? Is that a feeling I want to feel? And I find it's quite interesting that oftentimes we have to dig way back into an experience in our past to recall where that belief even materialized. And sometimes it didn't even come from something we personally experienced. We may listen to the beliefs and practices others follow and choose to ingrain their beliefs into our core beliefs that we have about ourselves. Or possibly yours might be words that somebody said to you. Maybe somebody once told you that you were arrogant and full of yourself. And now all of a sudden, that's what you're choosing to believe about yourself. So, just as easily as you accepted this belief into your life, you can show that bad boy to the door. And another interesting thing that I've noticed is that as crappy as the belief may be, we have such a hard time separating it for ourselves. We create a codependency on that belief because we didn't know that there was any other option than to believe that. How could you possibly not believe this? Or so many other people believe this, so there must be proof that it's a justified belief. Or how about the one that if I didn't believe this anymore, what the heck would I do? Like, where would I go with my thoughts if I didn't believe that I was a failure anymore? Would that mean that I'd have to be successful in things in my life? So when you ask yourself, what would I do if I didn't believe that anymore? You know what you would do? you'd get your ass to work in deciding what it is you want to believe about your life, what you believe you're capable of, what your future will look like. And just because your journey didn't turn out like you thought it would, like you planned for, like you prayed for, are you willing to let that define you forever? Are you willing to deny yourself the chance to create new beliefs based on a future that you want now? We have so much more power and control than we give ourselves credit for. And newsflash, folks, I'm no unicorn that's superhuman and made of steel. The only difference between me and those that believe they're victims of infertility and that their purpose and meaning without a child is impossible is that I decided that I want to believe something else about my future. I had no clue what, but I was open to learning. Because each day that I woke up looking at myself in the mirror and feeling that I was a failure because I was not a mother was not serving me. And as I was able to identify beliefs that are no longer serving me, I realized that it's not going to take me from belief 1.0 to belief 10.0 in an instant. So sometimes it's just starting at my thought of 1.0 and looking at that I was a failure because I failed fertility treatments. And then maybe doing a quick level up. Well, I might not be a failure all the time. I have a great job. I have a husband that I love. I live in a home that I love. So I'm clearly not a failure all the time. So, what I'd like to offer you is just don't expect to go from I'm a failure to I'm a baller and the best person in the whole wide world. It's because that's not believable. So, as you get to work with analyzing the shit out of your thoughts, begin with the creation of a shift. Don't question yourself about it because the stuff that's easy to believe that we believe that it's rote for us to believe happens because our brain is used to repetition. I mean, think about things that you do in your life. If you run every day, you're used to running every day. If you do laundry on Saturdays, that's just part of your routine. So the brain likes routine. So all of a sudden, if you're teaching your brain that you're no longer a failure, it goes on like, what type of mode? And you're like, okay, so now what? What am I going to believe about myself? And it's not because you're lazy, but you just need to start creating habits and write that new belief down, the level up one or the one that you want to believe that seems super far to reach right now, and just start reviewing it, whether it's reading it every day, writing it every day, saying it every day, but just find a way to get your mind used to reading that, seeing that, believing that. So your thoughts are no different than trying to learn a new habit. And it's easy to think that I'm a failure because my body didn't produce a child or because doctors used medical terminology of unexplained infertility or failed cycle to classify my treatments. But I decided that their words are no longer part of my belief system about me. The word failed is not describing me. It's describing a blip on the radar in this magnificent life of mine. So as you begin to write your story of your future, you have 100% the ability to decide what it is, what you need to believe in order to live it. So please take the time to just have some grace with yourself. Don't judge yourself for the beliefs that you have, but really start to think, what would you like to believe? What do you want to believe? What do you know is true about you? And next week, we're going to take those beliefs and start learning how we can rewrite our past and also write the story of our future. So I hope you join me next week when we have more talks about So Now What. Have a good week, all. If you like what you heard on today's episode, please give me a 5-star rating, but more importantly, please leave a comment and let me know any future topics you'd like to hear about. You can follow me at Stitch Coaching, STITCH Coaching, and learn more about the most meaningful and abundant life you have available to you.